listen to us on the internet, welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, you have the opportunity to pick up your telephone, open bat or open ball. It's a good thing to fix the pitch, but you mustn't tamper with the ball. So your number to call is 4420175. We're on Real FM 91.9, Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to our program. The democratic process in Grenada is a good one. From the 1983, we've been having election. An election has always been free and fair. Sometimes when a side lose, they're crying foul. When they win, they're jumping up. But from 1983, all political parties that lost election conceded defeat within 24 hours. And we never had a successful challenge in the court. I notice some of the African countries now, every time they lose election, they're crying foul. But our process here is good, and we must make maximum use of the democratic process to solve the challenges that we have. A lot of time, governments cannot solve the challenge that we have, particularly if the government policy is hostile towards the solution for the challenges that we have. One of the challenges we have in Grenada is young men. Our young men, some of the antisocial behavior, deviant behavior, some of the excessive use of alcohol and drugs, and the attitude of our parents, of the public, of the government, and particularly of their mother. I say mother because this friend of mine said to me that he had a woman told him she had a child for him. And when he visited the child, he couldn't say this child could never be his. And they asked him why, because they said the child look at him. He said the child is too big and the mouth too long. So he's not his child. So arguments start in the house. The woman was crying till her mother take a mirror and put in his face. He stay quiet. He never know he has big so, and he never know he mouth long so. So men always have this challenge, but women don't have this problem. They know the child is theirs. They feel every vibration, every time the child kick, every tone. The woman was able to feel that movement. So the bond that a woman have with her child is much greater than any father, any man. Remember, when Mary visited Elizabeth, John the Baptist jumped up for joy. He danced because he felt the presence of Christ. And Christ was in his first trimester, and John the Baptist was in the second or third trimester. And that is why you see some Christians is so against abortion. Because if Christ could have had that effect on John the Baptist in the second trimester in his life, it tells you it is not justified to abort children. We must not encourage, we must not support people to abort children. Instead, we must encourage them to bring the child forward. A lot of women abort their children because they're scared. They're afraid. They're afraid of the hostility of society towards them. They're afraid of their parents' hostility, lack of support system. That is why they abort the child. So if we give them support and encourage them that the child is a gift, and we want the children because the population in Grenada has not improved in the last 100 years in any significant way. But we must concern about our young men. And I'm always glad when I have the opportunity, whether it's in Sinner's Choice in the rum shop or the radio station, when I have a woman next to me. Because, as I said before, the bond that a woman have with her child or her children is much different, much more intense than any man. So I think I have a sister here with me today, and perhaps I could start by asking her if she thinks that our young men in particular, if we concern about them, if we believe they have challenges and problems that we need to address. So I have to, because sometimes she's satisfied with them. So first thing, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Pierre, let's start with the navel string is real. So I agree with what you just said or mentioned about a woman feeling everything during a pregnancy. Now, from my experience, as I can say now, like as a grown woman, looking back and looking where we are today in society, men do have a lot of challenges. And as I've mentioned previously, growing up, I remember the girls had to be at home and the boys can go out and play. The girls had to assist with the cooking. The boys went out and play. Sometimes they would not, if there was a father involved, sometimes the boys would not even be going to help the father. Most times they would say, oh, it's trouble, when you come, it's trouble you're giving me, so it's better I go alone. Or sometimes they do not come along at all. So I think for men in society here in Grenada, we have to look at the responsibility, teaching young boys and men to take responsibility. A lot of young girls and young women have been taught that. What have been taught to the men? And I think that's the question. When are we going to start teaching our young men to take responsibility? A lot of Grenadian men, some people say, oh, they are losers, they are scapegoaters. And I think a lot of these men out there, they have a deep form of insecurity. And that form of insecurity probably developed from making decisions, taking responsibility. For instance, when women try to take responsibility or make decisions, they are accused of being controlling. Probably if the men were to take such responsibility and make decisions that are constructive, decisions and responsibilities that can elevate themselves, the woman and the family, probably we'll see a difference with the challenges.
So you believe that one of the challenges we have is the men not taking responsibilities?
Well, I probably would not just say the men not taking responsibilities. They are not being taught how to take responsibility.
But who is responsible for teaching the man how to take responsibility?
I would say the parents and the school, the churches.
What's about the mother?
The community.
What's about the mother?
As I said, parents.
But not parents, not man. If the man not taking responsibility, you can ask the man who don't take responsibility.
Well, there is a saying that, and I can only say that there is a saying because being a woman, I do not know, but there's a saying that a woman cannot teach a boy how to become a man. I cannot say anything on this. I'm just saying that there is a saying. So if someone can call and probably express, whether their mother taught them how to be a man, that would be very interesting and very enlightening to know as well. I'm not sure if this is a true statement.
You could give us a call. The number to call is 4420175. And remember, we speak about that or any other issue. You could change the subject matter if we want. But we have a high percentage. We must be concerned because we have a number, several, many, a good percentage. It's better to say a good percentage of people that have it well locked down. So they are doing what is correct. The boys have it under control. But a significant percentage of the population doesn't seem to be getting it right. The question is, what do we do to help them? We are not particularly targeting the blame game to blame the government or blame the society or blame the man or the woman. But I always believe the most impactful person in a child's life between 0 to 16 years is the woman. And 60% of our household are led by women. So you don't man in that. If you have any man, it's a tourist relationship, a passing man. So obviously, the woman spends more time with the children than any other. And the woman have more impact, more influence in the child's life than anybody else. So what do we do? How do we encourage our women to do more? How do we encourage our children our women to do more, particularly when your child is between 0 to 12, 16 years? How do we encourage them to do more? Without really blaming the woman or blaming the man. The intention is not to blame the woman, even though I'm singing like that perhaps sometimes, because I'm regularly targeting the woman. But it's not a view to blame her, but to recognize that she is the most impactful person in the child's life between 0 to 16 years. And the woman, in 60% of the instances, is the only one on a regular basis in the house, is the one with the authority in the house, is the one who manages the income in the house. In addition to that, naturally, the woman tends to have a greater bond, so she's more likely to have the killer instinct, the stick-with-itiveness. You know, I see sometimes when young boys end up coming afoul of the law, is the mother behind it, not father. Father say the boy get in trouble. Sometimes, and that's it. So the question is, what do we do? And we have our sister with here, and we'll be cornering her today to find out what do we do. And we want to remind her, we ain't blaming the woman. But it's a fact that a woman is more impactful in the boy's life. What do women do to avoid their sons getting involved in drugs, excessive alcohol, weed? And I mean, a lot of people have argued that weed is good, and I ain't denying that. But 9 weed a day do good. I know nobody, no friends of mine, that's smoking 9 weed a day and a calabash of weed a day. That make no sense. And then we have a lot of young boys on coke, and a lot of young men involved in the pre-deal larceny and dumb crimes. I don't know how the police might call it stupid crimes. Hooliganism, using obscenities. I heard a young man was arrested for kicking down the police sign. You know, kind of stupid crimes. What do we do? What practical things could we do? Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
And good afternoon to the lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to raise your voice first.
Yeah.
The question you asked about the men and as compared to the women, I think both persons could play a very good role and have played a very good role in both in the upbringing of men.
But which one you believe? Which one? We know both of them. Under normal circumstances, the father is there. But in the majority of instances, the father is not there.
Yeah, they are.
And in 60% of the instances, the mother alone is there.
Yes, we could see that.
Well, that we could say is a fact, is statistics.
See that, but also there are fathers and mothers that do a very good job. I testify to that. fathers and mothers.
You could speak a little louder, or you just me?
There are fathers and mothers that do a very good job.
Yes, in about 20%, 15 to 20% of the cases in Grenada, fathers are involved and they do a very good job. But in the majority of cases, there is no father involved, unless it's a tourist relationship.
I won't say in the majority, but in a percentage, yes.
The statistics says that 60% of the instances, the woman is in charge of the household.
Yes.
She had to bring up the man for maintenance. She had to fight with him. She had to beg him. Sometimes he wants sex before he give her money. But these are the issues. You know. Sometimes she have 3 men. Sometimes she have 9 children, 10 men involved.
Yeah, when so many women have to check themselves too.
Well, you see, we blame. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
in the majority of instances,
nice to you,
the women are left alone.
Anyhow, I agree, but I'm saying that it's not in all cases. And my concern this evening is the parliament behavior.
Oh, parliament. Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, I am not satisfied with the parliamentarian behavior in parliament, particularly from the government side. You know, telling people sit down and listen and whatnot. I think we our parliamentary personnel have to behave themselves better in the parliament. And you're taking a bill to parliament, and when time to discuss the bill, you're saying we're not going to be lending any money, no, and we don't lend any more. I mean, come on, why big people have to sit down and be that kind of way? If you take a bill to parliament, you're supposed to be able to explain to the parliamentarian and to the nation why that bill will come to parliament and what you will be doing with the funds that you want from that bill. But then you hear the Prime Minister get up and say, we are not applying for any funds, no and whatnot. I mean, I find the listing in the parliament a little too much. The attitude and behavior of the parliamentarians. I find it little. You know, they're not training, and to me, like we need orientation course for our parliamentarians. You know, I don't find them behaving like people that we could learn from.
But Colin, I consider you as an individual that's in tongue long. You have a group of political neophytes in power. We the people of Grenada selected a bunch of inexperienced political neophytes. We recognize that these people have told a pile of lies to people. These people are hostile to the elderly, the physically challenged, disadvantaged children. These people have been lying constantly. Some of the activists of these people say to Ethiopian people, give them armchair. They call them Grenadian nasty people. They now attacking Dabo and Monroe. And you honestly expect better behavior?
Huh.
Yeah, how could you expect better behavior?
Yeah, I expect better behavior because I think so many things you say. When you go to the parliament, you have to understand that you should be saying.
They don't have no manners. They don't know respect. They're bitter. They say Ethiopian people. They say give the people armchair. They say Grenada is nasty people. Somebody, not Grenada, but they describe a whole thousands and thousands of people as nasty people. Yeah, how do you expect better from them?
Well, what I'm saying is that when your supporters could say that and they outside, but when you go to the parliament, when the parliamentarians go there, they have to...
Not the supporters, the Minister of Foreign Affairs say really good people. The ex-Prime Minister Tillman Thomas says rebalancing. The Prime Minister said it is not transformation, it is restorative justice. Willie said it is collateral damage. St. Jude, who like to walk with morality around on his face, he said it's realignment. The Minister of Labor, she laughed. when she realized people wasn't getting paid. How you expect better from these vultures?
I still want to see better from
You're hoping for better.
Yeah,
and it's good to hope.
Because I'm not satisfied with.
Maybe we will see better over tomorrow.
Yeah. To me, the speaker don't have control of the parliament.
Well, the speaker is part of them. The speaker is part of the not 12 by 13 man. The speaker playing for his side.
Yeah, well, speaker don't understand it.
This is what we have, and we must face the reality. This is the worst group of politicians that I have seen in my lifetime.
I can't say it was, but I could say.
Which group that was worse than them? Tell me which group that was worse.
I can say that they're braving the best.
Which group that behaved worse?
I can't say that.
Carla, you're in tongue now. Tell me one group of people that attack the elderly, the physically challenged, and disadvantaged children in Grenada.
I don't know if I could call them the worst.
Tell me one group that lie more in Grenada.
I'm not in a position to say that now.
But you're in tongue long. Normally I would
Well, I
ask
definitely
other
not
people
satisfied
listen.
with the attitude of them.
All right, thank you.
Good.
But let's hope they do better. Yes, we have to hope they do better. You see, that is, I think, what is sad in Grenada, because I am not taking issue with the mistakes the National Democratic Congress make. It's a new group of people involved in politics. They have never been in politics before. You expect them to make rudimentary mistakes. So I'm not taking issues with a mistake, but I'm concerned about the policy. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good day, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, good to hear you.
I mentioned the debate yesterday. Huh?
If I listened to the debate yesterday?
Friday.
No. I didn't hear the debate yesterday. Friday.
Yeah, well, I listened to the debate, and one thing I don't really agree with is the
you sound a little cloudy off.
Yeah, the $2 million they spent on the $50 bill.
But they spent $2 million on?
On the $50 bill, the Momobilia bill. Right?
I didn't hear the debate, so I don't know what you're talking about. So just tell us.
I don't agree with that. You know why? I thought the $50 would have been convertible. In other words, you could use it to money calculator.
What they have this $50 for?
The independent celebration.
Oh.
I thought they would have used this $50 bill to distribute all about the Caribbean, so they use it as a Noel. They put the gay face on it. I understand that is Grenada independent bill and could recognize is Grenada, but they don't do that. What I understand is that they have in a Momo, they spend $2 million to get a bill as a souvenir.
Oh, so the $50 cannot be spent is a souvenir.
It's a souvenir.
Okay.
I don't like that.
But I don't agree with you too, because Eric Gary said he wants nothing on art. Is disrespecting the memory of the individual. Eric Gary said he wants nothing on art. So you have to spend $2 million, they should have put a face on it.
They were saying that
yeah.
They pay for it and let the money distribute to the OECS.
I agree with you.
And then when St. Vincent Pierre independent, they put their face on it, so it distributes to the Caribbean, so everybody in Boeing agree to CS and so on and so on.
I agree with you on that.
Not that they're doing, they want to make it a moment there.
A souvenir.
A souvenir.
Okay.
I said I can't get to scrap that. Forget that damn souvenir.
Thank you, I agree with you. Okay. Yes, I agree with him. Putting money that can spend. Spending $2 million money I can spend. Eric Gary said he wants nothing on art. Eric Gary left, built 28 schools in 13.5 years. St. George's University, Land for the Landless program, independence, technical education, and that will remain. That is his memory. So now you just go, I consider it as trying to attach yourself to some other people's popularity. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, I'm hearing you there, so go right ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm calling you in from the diaspora, and
Caller, try again. Just speak up first. You there, caller?
I'm not here. Hello?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your
Yeah.
listeners of this wonderful program. I'm calling you in from the diaspora, and when I looked at the parliament, it gives me a level of disgust to listen to the level of arrogance and the total disrespect from members on the government side. I know people are saying that they're incompetent. Yes, it's the fact that they're incompetent, but there are young persons in Grenada who would have done a way better job than them. It tells of the mindset of these individuals. These individuals are behaving as deranged pigs when they get to the parliament. They are so knowledgeable about the standing orders and the rules and regulation within the parliament. They will not exhibit that for other young persons to see that they are disgusting young persons, from making young persons get disgust of even joining into politics to make a meaningful contribution to the society. It is just like a gloom and doom day when these people enter the halls of parliament. That's the highest office of the land where you go to discuss the plans and programs for a country. And if they cannot sit down and discuss things on a mature level and take corrections when necessary, it tells us what is going on within the ministries and what the outcomes are going to be. Grenadians need to start banning their belly, because these all tell us what is really going on behind the scenes. They are very corrupt. They are very disrespectful. They do not take any form of correction. And the Bible tells you that what happens to a nation when there is no sense of direction and leadership. And we are seeing it exhibiting itself in the crime statistics in recent times in Grenada. So we don't have to look far to wonder why certain things are happening. But the only thing we can do right now is just pray and hope that the day comes, and every passing day is a day nearer to a next day to get them out of office. I just want to implore on persons to remain focused, do what they have to do, and just we will overcome. We will overcome.
Yes, scholar. Yes, scholar, thank you. Well, I will say to people, look at what's going on in the parliament, multiply it by 10, and imagine what's going on the ground. This is why I decided that these 9 individuals are vultures. You should never have individuals like that. It is not good for our country. What they will do is to turn back the hand of the clock. They will create a rippling effect on the ground. They're extremely disrespectful in the parliament. They're worse on the ground. As soon as they come in, they dip their hand in the cookie jar of the elderly, the physically challenged. Even disadvantaged children wasn't spared. I heard the cry of the woman from Union. And when they say she lied, she give them her telephone number. She say, investigate my case. And when they see the officer go, they tell her, yeah, people worse than her. As if what she complaining about. We have a number of people who give us the name. But we have to be careful, because some of the relatives don't want it named publicly, because the NDC is going to retrench them. They believe that the NDC is going to come after them. We've been on the radio asking for justification for the fine of 30 people in Grand Bay Estate. The women of Karakou and the women of Pause. And we have not been getting any answer to this. So, what you hearing in Parliament, imagine what's going on the ground. And you see, while we're on that, we must never forget our young men. we must never forget our young men and what we're going to do, because the present environment is counterproductive to development. And that's where we constantly want to encourage our women to come up with answers. What we're going to do to salvage our young men.
We also have very prominent men in society that young men can look up to as well.
We have a caller on the line? Yes, caller, welcome.
Good morning, listeners.
Yes, my brother.
Now, I've been listening to Parliament. Oh boy. And I don't know what become of us. From the speaker downwards, the whole NDC. Yesterday I see something, not yesterday, but Friday I see something going on with Peter. Peter on the floor. Peter says something and the Prime Minister get up to correct or whatever he say. And talks start to go backward and forward. The Prime Minister put on a light and the speaker tell him to speak, you know. The speaker make Peter sit down. And let the Prime Minister say what he had to say. I mean, this thing, how we can take this thing going on in Grenada? Huh?
Caller, you're going to get worse.
How can we take those things? You talking, they laughing, the ex-Prime Minister speaking, they laughing and they giggling, they singing. I mean, this is supposed to be an honorable house. I'm a senior citizen. I've been following politics since very time. And first time I ever see this stupidness going on in the house. And it's time for we to get rid of these people and them. They're running down Grenada, they're running down with politics, they're running down with government. I don't know. The devil was sent them.
Well, I've been asking who sell them. We have a call on the line. I've been asking who sell them. But you see, I constantly ask people to look at the policy of the NDC. This is the worst group of NDC that we have had. And this group has, imagine one of the mouthpiece of the NDC is considering some villages as classless. And our brothers in the diaspora paying to go and take out picture with this group of vultures. You know, how do we address it? Sister, the ball is in your coat and that's a group of vultures. It's the worst I've seen. And I'm in tongue now. It is the worst I have seen and I'm in tongue now. But I pay attention to what is on the ground. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, my brother, welcome.
it's the group of vultures that pay the pension, you know. The picture of them had 22 years to pay the end. It's the group of vultures, you can't have vultures now. It's them who pay the pension. Them who pay the tax salary. Them who fix the insurance, the national insurance scheme. And them who
Caller, do you agree with what is going on now?
The group of vultures.
Caller, do you agree with what is going on now?
I agree that they pay the pension.
Caller, do you agree that Deacon Mitchell, Dennis Cornwall and other members are selling passport?
Yes,
Caller, do you agree with the NDC mouthpiece calling Mount Rush and Dabo classless?
You lie, Mr. Pierre. You lie.
Caller. Caller, I understand that. Caller. So what I give you an opportunity to do is to do the research. I know you don't believe, you know. I know you can't believe. But I advise you to do the research. You know, it's difficult for him to believe. And that's the challenge that we have. And we must try to salvage or within all that, My concern is the young children in school, We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
All right.
Welcome, caller.
Mr. Pierre again. The last caller that called in.
You have to speak up a little more for us.
Huh?
Speak up a little more for us.
Yeah, the caller that recently called in, the last caller. I am not sure which part of Grenada is this caller from. Where they live in? Which part of
You
universe they live in? Apparently, that person has to be somebody from the zoo, because these kind of a behavior that is exhibited by our parliament.
But it could well be that he did not hear. Caller, it could well be that he did not hear. And he can't believe. Sometimes he's not as strong in the technology as others. So sometimes he genuinely did not hear. You know?
Well, he has to be someone who believes in a lot of propaganda, because and that's very bad for a nation.
But that is the NDC propaganda.
And to beside calling in to make such a comment and trying to indicate what or support the wrongs of this government. Caller, I want to tell you that you get zero in that comment that you just made. You zero. I'm sure you're listening to your radio. Please continue listening to your radio, but listen attentively. You're not listening, and common sense, I know, is not that common these days, but try to make sense of what the foolish statements you're making, because other members of the society is listening to you. Please be careful what you say on national radio.
Yes. Yeah. One of the challenges we on radio and Real FM and number of the other individuals on Real FM, they do everything possible to speak the truth. And sometimes when you run in your mouth, something might come out that is not so truthful. We immediately tell people to correct us. Because if you don't want to handle the truth, we go tight on you. This government has been going lower than any other government in our history. And my greatest fear, and I say that all the time, when you see what's going on in Parliament, when you see the political vengeance that's going on in the country, when you realize that people working for under $1,000 and they're affected, when you hear the cry of a woman in a community that have to go publicly and say, I have Parkinson's disease, I have ulcers, I have sketch feet, and they take my money away from me. And you hear them responding to her and say, you have people worse than you. When you hear those cry, when you listen to Eddie Frederick, and listen to him, and you hear the kind of disparaging and other utter obnoxious language that is being used, and now he is identifying communities that he feels is classless, and the Prime Minister should avoid them. When you hear this thing in Grenada, I don't know. Difficult for me to understand the ex-Prime Minister Tillman Thomas, my brother William Joseph. These individuals that walk around with morality as if it's a gallard around their neck. It's difficult for me to understand it. But sister, we still have to do with our young boys.
We do.
Tell us what we're going to do with the young boys. That is the environment we're in, you know.
What do we do?
What do we do with the young boys?
Communication.
When you say communication between the mother and...
Between the mother and child.
Mother and child. What kind of... What a woman tells her son now? How do she brings up her son? How does she encourage the man to play a bigger role in her son's life?
Well, the same way... Mr. Pierre, I think it have to start somewhere in the home, even if it's before the mother who has to talk to the son. For example, it had to start it with the grandmother, the great-great-grandmother, or whoever was responsible for bringing up the person who then had a child. How the conversation is being passed on. You have to keep communicating. A lot of parents do communicate with their children at a very young age. But somehow, sometimes the influence of friends, influence of